Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. So in a couple of days, most likely from when this video will come out, we do have the finale for the Red Death arc or storyline on The Flash to open up its 9th and final season. Now, of course, there are a decent amount of unanswered questions and some early reviews, or I guess more reactions probably is the best way to put it, did come out from some press that have gotten to see the episode early. And honestly, it seems to be pretty mixed, which is surprising because the previous 4 episodes have been more on the positive side. So it will be interesting to see what the episode is actually like when us peasants get to watch it, if that's the case. But in the lead up to this episode coming out in a couple of days, we did appear to get one confirmation for another big, maybe like literally big, character coming back for the final season that was assumed by most people based off one of the trailers leading up to this season, but it also might confirm another scene happening this week in the episode as well. And we will also go over some last minute questions leading into this Red Death finale, so let's get into it. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on all the stuff we go over and your expectations and predictions leading into this Red Death finale. Let me know down there in the comments. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support, everything like that, drop a like, takes 2 seconds. So over the past day, about the past day, we had a specific voice actor tweet out something for us, as in the audience, to keep our eyes and ears out in this week's episode of The Flash, just in order to have a good time. That's all. Now, this was coming from David Sobolov, not sure which way you pronounce it, who, for those that know, is the voice of Gorilla Grodd. And there were some replies where people were going like, oh my god, Grodd is in the episode, or oh my god, he's in the episode, and stuff like that. And he gave very vague, but at the same time, like obvious responses that did suggest, yeah, Grodd is back, boy. Now, this confirmation isn't all that surprising because we, of course, had that shot from the initial trailer for this season, which had Barry in that forest area without his cowl on, looking up at someone asking them for help, in regards to helping him save the world. Now, the only option that really made any sense, especially considering this was only when they were maybe they were filming around episode 7 or 8 or something like that, was Grodd, especially because Barry was looking pretty far upwards. Either the guy was 9 foot tall he was talking to, or he was looking up at Grodd, maybe in a tree or just on a rock, I don't know. Now, as I said, most of us thought Grodd was back because of this thing from the trailers anyway, but myself and a lot of others thought it would have been earlier in the season, like in episode 3 or 4, maybe even 2, who knows. So it does make you wonder what Barry specifically needs from Grodd, and also more importantly, whether Grodd will help. And I think what we could see in the episode is that Grodd does some stuff off screen, or it could be to locate Batwoman more specifically. Now, we know Batwoman was abducted from Gotham City a couple of weeks ago in the timeline of the Arrowverse when sort of Red Death came into town. So maybe Cecile isn't able to do it exactly with her powers, so they go to Grodd, or maybe it's the other way. Like they go to Grodd and then they're like, oh no, he can't do it, so let's go to Almighty Cecile. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they took any opportunity to hype up Cecile, so we'll wait and see if that happens here. But there were some shots in the trailer where it showed like a screen, it said like psychic readings or something like that, and it showed Central City, so who knows exactly what's happening in this moment. And also the synopsis said that Barry and Iris turned to Cecile for help, so who knows. Flip of the coin, I guess. But yeah, if the role for Grodd is a bit more than just a cameo, as I said, we could maybe see Grodd be the one who does track down Batwoman, especially considering that it would be way too coincidental if Batwoman is being hidden somewhere around Central City. Now, we know Grodd's powers do extend beyond just the Central City area. He can, use his powers pretty much across the world. So, like when you look at Cecile's, they're much more limited to like a city-wide area. So Grodd is really the character that actually makes sense if that is the role that is going to be, served, through these psychic powers. But I don't expect Grodd to get into any like fight sequences or anything like that. Just more plot-related things. So, but yeah, I am excited to see Grodd. Hopefully it isn't just like a one-scene cameo. Even if it is just a couple of scenes, I'll be fine with that. But if it is just one scene, bit of a cameo, I'd be a bit disappointed, but at the same time, I'd be fine with it because we get to see Grodd one final time, so it'd still be pretty cool. But to finish off the back half of this video, unanswered questions. A lot of people would say, I don't want to say a lot of people, but a decent amount of people would say there's a good amount of unanswered questions going into this finale. Some would say there isn't. And it really depends on whether you believe certain people in the actual show or not. Now, multiverse or different timeline? This is one of the big questions that's been sort of gone back and forth between fans. I've seen it in the comment section, I've just seen it online on Twitter. No one's really 100% sure because the show isn't really telling you exactly what's going on. Because as we have learned before on the show in previous seasons, especially around like season 2 and 3 when Barry was messing with timelines, you can't just go back to a timeline you came from. It's always going to be slightly different. It's going to fracture off at some point. And Red Death also said world. Like she said, like, the Flash won't let me go back to my world, so I'm going to destroy his, or something along those lines. But world was the word that was used at the end of last episode. And yeah, that doesn't confirm multiverse. I've seen people saying that confirms a multiverse. It definitely doesn't, but it's also a very interesting choice of words, saying my world when you're thinking of, timelines versus multiverse and stuff like that. We've brought up in the comic books how different timelines are seen as different Earths and stuff like that, but the show has never said that. The show has always distinguished them between timelines and multiverse, as we saw with Flashpoint, with Armageddon. They were just different timelines, while Earth 2, Earth 3, Earth whatever are different Earths. So the show hasn't made them the same. The show has sort of tried to separate them and make them different things. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens if that's clarified, or if we just jump into some like random other thing that Red Death is trying to do and Barry has to stop that, and there's no real touch upon multiverse or different timelines again. That's a wait and see. Now, the real backstory of Red Death, that's something that people are going, okay, are we going to learn that? Because most people seem to be assuming that the conversation that Red Death or the evil Ryan Wilder had with Iris in the apartment was most likely, at the very least, at the very minimum, 60% BS. Could have gone up to 90%, could have, because there's a bit of truth there. There has to be a bit of truth there because she made the suit and we know that she doesn't have the actual speed, it's within the suit. So there's a bit of truth there, but how much of it was BS? Most people seem to think it's the majority. So learning her true story wouldn't be too bad of a thing, but I also don't know how relevant it would be if they need to say it, unless like Red Death goes, you know what, I feel a bit generous, I'll tell you the true story of what's going on in this episode. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but I wouldn't mind learning a bit more of the backstory there, like the actual truth. But yeah, because she tried to make herself off as a hero in her timeline, which we know is not the case. So yeah, I wouldn't mind learning a bit more of that, but I just don't think that's going to happen. But if you think that's going to happen, let me know. And if you think what changes could be there, also let me know in the comments section, because you might have an idea that might come true in this final episode of the Red Death story. The next one, Batwoman returns. Now, we know this character is coming in. We know Batwoman's coming in. I don't know if it's just going to be for like right towards the end, or she's going to show up early in the episode, maybe through the God thing. I'm not too sure. My prediction for this entire thing, though, is that Batwoman and the Flash will team up to fight Red Death, but Batwoman delivers the final blow to defeat Red Death. This won't please a lot of people because there is this trend with Barry not actually defeating the villains, but I do just see this happening. And I guess this also sort of like allows some sort of connectivity, because this Batwoman was in like, she was there for 2 seasons, like seasons 2 and 3, but did no interactions outside of what, Diggle? Like that was pretty much it. So, and I know we had Armageddon, but that was actually not in this, this canon of the timeline that we're in on the show. So this version of Batwoman really did no interaction, was in her own little pocket, and our characters have really never interacted there. So I guess it's going to be somewhat cool and interesting to see this version of Batwoman actually team up with another person, like another Arrowverse hero and someone on the Justice League and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it probably doesn't mean too much, but at the same time, it might appease some fans that really wanted to see it. So that's a plus. I don't think it'd really be a negative for most people, except maybe Batwoman delivering the final blow. That, I think, will annoy people if that does happen. I think that's actually what's going to happen. And the 2 final things are things that I'd expect, or at least one of them specifically right at the end of the episode, and maybe another one right at the end. So the first one is Iris pregnant. This is not going to be a shocker. Everyone knows it's happening. It was just really what episode it happened in. The synopsis for this, I think it was for episode 6 actually, suggested that this would happen at the end of episode 5 anyway. But it seems like she's going to find out she's pregnant. So this isn't a shocker at all. It will just be interesting to see how it's done, because the scene might be a bit weird, but based off the promo images, it seems like it's going to be a bit more of a personal scene. So it'll probably be done better than if they did like this big random, like everyone's there or something like that. So it looks like it's going to be done well. It just depends how it goes. We'll have to wait and see. And the final thing is, as you would expect, leading into the end of another story or an end of a graphic novel or a storyline, leading into the next thing that's happening this season, cliffhanger. Now, I don't really have any idea really what the cliffhanger could be. If there is going to be one, I don't know. The cliffhanger might literally be that Iris is pregnant, though that's not really a cliffhanger, like what, is the baby not going to make it? Like we know Nora's going to get born, so not much of a cliffhanger there. But one option that people have suggested, and it's something that I alluded to earlier in this video in regards to something else we haven't seen yet in this season, based off the trailer, like we're probably going to get this week with Barry in the forest looking up at Grodd, is that person in that hooded cloak that appeared to be in Central City Citizen Media, I think it was, or it might have been somewhere in Star Labs. Both of those sets look sort of similar with the pop plants and stuff like that, but I think it was in the Citizen Media office. But it's that person in that hooded cloak, and they were in that trailer for the season, like Barry in the Woods, and we haven't had that scene yet in an episode either. So who the hell is it? A lot of people think it's Spectre. They could easily make that Spectre and just have like glowing green eyes and like a bit of a distorted voice, and they could easily do that. That could easily be Spectre if that's what's going to happen there. It might even be Cobalt Blue, and we see the gem. Maybe we see the blue gem and something happens there. The only issue with that is that we know that we have like 3, random interlude episodes or whatever they're going to be before we get that Oliver Queen return episode, and then the episode after that is the start of the Cobalt Blue storyline. So that's a bit of a distance, but then again, we might get small little cliffhangers sprinkled throughout this interlude arc that lead into either the Oliver Queen episode or the Cobalt Blue arc. So maybe there's little sprinkles there to make those episodes still interesting and worth watching, within like a day of the episode coming out so you don't get spoiled. So that might be what the cliffhanger could be. That would be a smart way to do it if we're going to get some episodes that most people won't be that interested in for like a few weeks in a row. So maybe that's what happens there. So maybe keep your eyes out for a cliffhanger that might relate to that, but that's a wait and see. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts and all the stuff we went over in this video. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.